The slavers laughed as the alien cat girl cried. Then a human gave up his future to buy her life. Before we dive into this story, drop a quick hi in the comments and tell me where you're watching from. It really helps support the channel. The vast galaxy-spanning Xenorium Bazaar hummed with life and commerce beneath the 3 moons of Praxis 4. Among the countless stalls and vendors, a human stood alone, his weathered face a stark contrast to the vibrant alien tapestry surrounding him. Noah Ellis gripped the railing of the observation deck overlooking the infamous slave market on the station's lower level. His knuckles whitened as bile rose in his throat. The Galactic Confederation technically banned slavery, but Praxis 4 existed in disputed territory where such laws held little sway. As a navigator on a merchant vessel, Noah had visited dozens of worlds, but nothing sickened him like the Xenorium Bazaar's darker corners. The crew of the Stellar Wind had 3 days of shore leave while the ship underwent repairs. Most of his crewmates were drinking themselves senseless in the entertainment district. Noah had wandered, hoping to find authentic Praxian crystals to send home to his sister on Earth. Instead, he'd stumbled upon this nightmare. Below, a Drakari auctioneer with obsidian scales and 6-fingered hands gestured grandly to the next item on the auction block, a young female felicid. Her feline features were marred by fear, her spotted fur matted with what appeared to be dried blood. One of her triangular ears was torn, and her tail, usually proudly arched by her kind, hung limply behind her. Next lot, a prime felicid female, young but trainable. Only slight damage from previous ownership. Good for domestic service, entertainment, or breeding. The auctioneer's translator device boomed across the marketplace. Starting bid at 8,000 credits. The felicid's amber eyes darted frantically across the crowd. Her wrists were bound with energy cuffs that pulsed with sickly green light. Noah's stomach churned as the bidding began, each increasing amount representing years of servitude for the terrified creature. 12,000 credits from the Vorlex in the back, the auctioneer announced. The felicid visibly trembled at this, her eyes widening in terror. Noah knew about Vorlexes, massive slug-like beings notorious for using slaves in their toxic mining operations. Few survived more than a standard solar cycle in such conditions. Desperate mewling sounds escaped the felicid as she tried to speak through her restraining collar. This prompted raucous laughter from a group of Drakari guards. Sounds like she's begging again, one sneered, his forked tongue flicking between razor teeth. The Vorlex will break that habit quick enough. 15,000 credits, called another voice, belonging to a corpulent Zugon whose blubbery flesh quivered with excitement. Noah's hand slid to his pocket, fingers brushing against his credit chip. 10 years as a navigator had left him with substantial savings, earmarked for purchasing his own small transport vessel. Freedom from corporate shipping contracts had been his dream since leaving Earth. 18,000 credits to the Zugon, the auctioneer crowed. Do I hear 20,000? The felicid collapsed to her knees, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. Something inside Noah broke. Before he fully realized what he was doing, he was pushing through the crowd toward the auction floor. 50,000 credits, he shouted, his voice carrying across the suddenly hushed marketplace. The auctioneer's 4 eyes blinked in quick succession. The human offers 50,000. Unexpected, but welcome. Do I hear 55,000? The crowd murmured. Humans rarely participated in these auctions, being among the more vocal species against slavery. The Vorlex gurgled something untranslatable, then slithered away, apparently unwilling to match the bid. Going once for 50,000 credits to the human. The auctioneer called. Going twice. The felicid's amber eyes locked with Noah's. There was confusion there, and something else, a desperate hope. Sold. To the human for 50,000 credits. The auctioneer's gavel crashed down, sealing the transaction. Noah approached the payment terminal, trying to steady his shaking hands. 50,000 credits, his entire future, vaporized in an instant. The terminal chimed as it accepted his payment, and a Drakari guard shoved the felicid toward him. Property transfer complete, the guard grunted, handing Noah a control key for the restraints. She's yours now, human. Do whatever you want with her. Up close, the Felicid appeared even worse. She couldn't be more than the equivalent of 18 Earth years, and beneath the matted fur, her frame was thin from malnourishment. Her eyes, though, they blazed with an inner fire that captivity hadn't extinguished. Noah pocketed the control key without using it. "Can you understand me?" he asked quietly. The Felicid nodded cautiously, her ears twitching. "I'm not going to hurt you," Noah said. "My name is Noah Ellis. I'm a navigator on a merchant vessel." He faltered, uncertain how to explain his impulsive action. "I'm going to help you." The Felicid's expression remained guarded, her tail twitching nervously behind her. "Let's get out of here first," Noah muttered, aware of the curious stares they were attracting. He gently guided her away from the auction block, heading toward the less crowded corridors of the bazaar's upper levels. Once they reached a quiet alcove, Noah pulled out the control key. "I'm going to remove your restraints. Is that okay?" After a moment's hesitation, the Felicid nodded. Noah pressed the key against her collar, which clicked open and fell away. He did the same for the energy cuffs on her wrists. As the final restraint clattered to the floor, the Felicid rubbed her chafed wrists, her eyes never leaving Noah's face. "Why?" she finally asked, her voice melodic despite its hoarseness. "Why would you spend so much to purchase me?" Noah leaned against the wall, suddenly exhausted. "Because it was wrong. What they were doing to you was wrong." "But that was all your money," she said softly. "The auctioneer announced your credit check results. It was everything you had." Noah blinked in surprise. "You understood all that?" "I understand 6 major galactic languages," she replied with a hint of pride. "I was educated before I was captured." Noah ran a hand through his hair. "Well, it doesn't matter. I couldn't just stand there and watch." He straightened up. "Listen, I can get you passage to a Confederation world where slavery is banned. You'll be free there." The Felicid's ears flattened against her head. "They'll find me. The Drakari Slaver Guild has operatives everywhere. They consider escaped property to be stolen property." "You're not property," Noah said firmly. "What's your name?" There was a long pause before she answered. "Lyra. My name is Lyra." "Well, Lyra, you're a person, not property. And I'm not going to let them take you again." A commotion at the end of the corridor interrupted them. 3 Drakari guards approached, led by a tall figure in crimson robes. "That's him, Master Vexenaar," one guard said, pointing at Noah. "The human who purchased the Felicid." The robed figure stepped forward, revealing a Drakari face more refined than the guards, with intricate scale patterns denoting high status. "Human," he began in flawless standard. "I am Vexenaar, overseer of the Xenorium auction house." There seems to be a misunderstanding. Noah positioned himself between Lyra and the approaching Drakari. "No misunderstanding. I paid for her freedom. The transaction is complete." Vexenaar's lipless mouth curved into what might have been a smile. But there's the issue. The Felicid you purchased is actually part of a special inventory. She was not supposed to be on the general auction block." "Special inventory?" Noah repeated, a cold feeling spreading through his chest. "She belongs to the personal collection of High Lord Craxus," Vexenaar explained smoothly. "A regrettable clerical error placed her in today's auction. I'm authorized to offer you a full refund, plus a generous compensation for the inconvenience." Behind Noah, Lyra made a small sound of terror. He felt her hand clutch the back of his jacket. "Not interested," Noah replied coldly. The sale was legal and binding. Vexenaar's inner eyelids slid halfway closed, a sign of irritation in Drakari. "You misunderstand, human. This is not a negotiation. The Felicid returns to her rightful owner, and you will be compensated. High Lord Craxus is not someone to be denied." One of the guards stepped forward, hand on his weapon. "Come now, human. Be reasonable. Take the money and walk away. What's one Felicid to you anyway?" Noah thought of his empty credit account, of his destroyed dreams of independence. Then he thought of the laughter of the guards as Lyra cried on the auction block. His jaw tightened. She's coming with me, he said firmly. And if High Lord Craxus has a problem with that, he can take it up with the Confederation Commerce Authority. I've already transmitted the sale records to my ship's database. This was a bluff. He'd done no such thing. But the mention of the Commerce Authority made Vexenaar pause. While the CCA had no jurisdiction here, they could make things difficult for traders who wanted to do business in Confederation space. You're making a grave mistake, human, Vexenaar hissed. No one defies High Lord Craxus without consequences. I guess I'll be the first, Noah replied, trying to project a confidence he didn't feel. Now, we'll be on our way. Noah turned, placing a protective arm around Lyra's shoulders as they walked away. He could feel the Dracarys' eyes burning into his back, but refused to look behind them. His mind raced, calculating options. They needed to get to the stellar wind immediately, but Captain Reeves might not welcome an unexpected passenger, especially one that could bring trouble. They won't stop, Lyra whispered. Craxus will send hunters. Then we'd better move quickly, Noah replied. Do you trust me? Lyra's amber eyes studied him intently. You gave up your future for a stranger. I don't understand it, but yes, I trust you. Noah activated his comlink. Maya, it's Noah. I need a favor, and it can't wait. Maya Foster, the Stellar Wind's security officer and one of the few crew members Noah considered a friend, answered immediately. Noah? Aren't you supposed to be souvenir shopping? Change of plans. I need emergency boarding for myself and a companion. Authorization code Ellis907 Delta. There was a pause. That's a distress code, Noah. Are you in trouble? Significant trouble. I'll explain when we're aboard. Have medical ready too. Copy that. Using your signal for tracking. Get to docking bay 14. I'll handle the clearances. Noah guided Lyra through the winding corridors of the bazaar, taking less traveled paths toward the docking bays. The Stellar Wind was scheduled to depart in 3 days, but with any luck, Captain Reeves could be persuaded to adjust their timetable. You're risking too much, Lyra said as they hurried along. Your ship, your career. Already risked my savings, Noah replied with a grim smile. Might as well go all in. As they rounded a corner, they nearly collided with a pair of Dracari security officers. The officers' hands immediately went to their weapons. Identification, one demanded. Noah's mind raced. Running wasn't an option. Fighting even less so. Navigator Noah Ellis, Stellar Wind, Confederation Registry, he stated calmly, pulling out his credentials. Escorting my assistant to our vessel. The guard scrutinized the credentials, then Lyra. Your assistant doesn't look Confederation standard. She's not, Noah agreed. We're contracted with the Felicid Protectorate for this run. Check with Confederation Trade Authority if you need verification. Another bluff, but delivered with just enough bureaucratic annoyance to sound authentic. The guard seemed uncertain, glancing at his partner. We have reports of a human attempting to leave with stolen property, the second guard said. Do I look like a thief to you? Noah asked indignantly. I'm a senior navigator with 15 years of service. Now, if you'll excuse us, our departure window is closing. The first guard handed back Noah's credentials. Proceed, but remain on designated paths to your docking bay. Noah nodded curtly, guiding Lyra past them. Once out of earshot, he released a shaky breath. That was close. You lie very convincingly, Lyra observed. For a human. Navigation isn't my only skill, Noah replied, allowing himself a small smile. Though I'm not sure how many more encounters like that we can survive. Vexenaar has probably alerted all security by now. They reached a transit hub that would take them directly to the docking base. As they waited for the transport, Noah noticed Lyra swaying slightly on her feet. Are you all right? He asked, concerned. Just weak, she admitted. They don't feed slaves much before auction. Makes us more compliant. Noah's jaw tightened. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a protein bar he'd been saving. Here. It's not much, but it should help. Lyra accepted it gratefully, her clawed fingers careful not to scratch him. As she ate, Noah studied their surroundings, alert for any sign of pursuit. The transit hub was crowded with travelers of various species, providing some anonymity, but also making it difficult to spot potential threats. The transport arrived, and they boarded among a crush of passengers. Noah kept Lyra close, using his body to shield her from curious stares. As the transport hummed to life, he allowed himself a moment of hope. Perhaps they would make it after all. Then he saw them, four Drakari guards entering the far end of the transport, methodically scanning the passengers. One was speaking into a communication device, likely reporting to Vex and AR. "We've got company," Noah whispered to Lyra. "For Drakari, far end." Lyra's ears flattened against her skull. "What do we do?" Noah assessed their options. The transport was already moving, with the next stop being the central hub for all docking bays. They couldn't exit early, and confrontation would likely end badly. "We need a distraction," he murmured, his mind racing. His gaze fell on the transport's emergency systems panel near their position. It was a risk, but they were running out of options. "When I give the signal, head for the exit doors. Stay low and move fast," he instructed. Noah casually moved toward the emergency panel, positioning himself so his body blocked the view from other passengers. With a quick movement, he prized open the panel and yanked two specific wires, a trick he'd learned during emergency protocol training. Immediately, the transport's lights flickered, and a piercing alarm began to sound. The automated system announced, "Environmental hazard detected. Emergency stop initiated. All passengers proceed to exits in an orderly fashion." Chaos erupted as passengers pushed toward the doors. Noah grabbed Lyra's hand and pulled her into the surging crowd, keeping their heads down. Through the confusion, he glimpsed the Drakari guards struggling against the flow of panicked travelers. The transport glided to a halt, and the doors slid open. Noah and Lyra spilled out with the crowd into a maintenance corridor, not their intended destination, but away from the guards. "This way," Noah said, consulting the station map on his comlink. "We can cut through the maintenance tunnels to reach docking bay 14. They hurried through narrow service corridors, the sounds of the alarm growing fainter behind them. Noah's comlink vibrated with an incoming message from Maya. Security alert issued for human male and felicid female. "What did you do, Noah?" "Tell you later," he replied tersely. "Still en route." "Is the ship ready?" "Captain's furious, but yes." "Be advised, station security is activating containment protocols. All departures may be grounded soon." Noah swore under his breath. "Understood. Ellis out." They emerged from the maintenance corridor into a bustling cargo area. Ahead, through large viewport windows, Noah could see the distinctive profile of the Stellar Wind, a sleek, mid-sized merchant vessel with the Confederation emblem emblazoned on its hull. "That's our ship," he told Lyra, pointing. "Docking Bay 14, just past that security checkpoint." Lyra's eyes widened. "There are Drakari at the checkpoint." Noah saw them, two guards flanking the entrance, scanning everyone who passed through. "They'll be checking identification. We won't make it past them." Lyra's tail swished anxiously. "Perhaps I should surrender myself. You could still save your career." "Not happening." Noah cut her off. He surveyed the cargo area, looking for another way. His eyes settled on a group of maintenance workers loading supplies onto a hover cart. "I have an idea." Noah approached the workers, adopting the harried expression of a crew member behind schedule. "Excuse me, priority shipment for the Stellar Wind in Bay 14. Captain Reeves is raising hell about these delayed parts." The lead worker, a grizzled human with cybernetic enhancements, looked skeptical. "Ain't got nothing on my manifest for the Wind." Noah lowered his voice. "Look, it's off record. Engine stabilizers from Tau Ceti. The captain's calling in favors to avoid Confederation inspection delays. There's 100 credits in it for you." The worker's cybernetic eye whirred as it focused on Noah. 200. 150, and we take the card ourselves. You never saw us." After a moment's consideration, the worker nodded. "Card's coded to my ID. I'll unlock it for you." He tapped his artificial hand against the cart's control panel. "You've got 30 minutes before it reports back to Central Dispatch." Noah pressed his last remaining credits into the man's hand. "Appreciated." He helped Lyra onto the cart, then covered her with an assortment of cargo netting and empty containers. He positioned himself at the controls, trying to appear as casual as possible as he guided the hovercart toward the security checkpoint. The Drakari guards were thoroughly checking each person and cargo shipment. Noah's heart pounded as they approached, but he kept his expression neutral, focusing on the identification chip the worker had provided. Cargo for Stellar Wind, Noah stated as they reached the checkpoint. Engine parts. Priority clearance. One guard scanned the worker's ID chip while the other began inspecting the cart. Noah held his breath as the second guard's clawed hand lifted a corner of the netting, peering at the contents beneath. "What's this?" the guard asked, pointing at a lump under the netting. "Gravitational stabilizer," Noah replied smoothly. "Delicate equipment. Captain's been waiting 3 cycles for the replacement." The first guard grunted as his scanner beeped green. "Clearance verified. Proceed to Bay 14. Noah nodded, carefully guiding the cart past the checkpoint. He didn't allow himself to relax until they were halfway down the corridor to the docking bay. "We made it," he murmured, helping Lyra emerge from her hiding place. "The ship is just ahead." Lyra climbed out, her movements stiff from being cramped beneath the netting. "Your people will accept me aboard?" "They'll have questions," Noah admitted. "But the Stellar Wind follows Confederation law. They won't turn you away." As they approached the ship's boarding ramp, Maya Foster appeared, her hand resting casually on her sidearm. Her dark eyes widened slightly at the sight of Lyra, but her professional demeanor didn't falter. "You certainly know how to liven up shore leave, Ellis," she remarked dryly. "Captain wants you in his quarters immediately. Says you've got exactly 5 minutes to explain why we're breaking schedule and risking sanctions." Noah nodded grimly. "Any word on departure clearance?" "Officially denied," Maya replied. "But our pilot says he can get us out before station control locks down the magnetic clamps. We've got maybe 10 minutes. "Then let's not waste time," Noah said, guiding Lyra up the ramp. As they stepped into the ship's airlock, a weight seemed to lift from his shoulders. They weren't safe yet, not by a long shot, but they had a fighting chance. Maya eyed Lyra with professional curiosity. "Medical bay is prepped. Dr. Whitaker is standing by." "Thank you," Noah said sincerely. "Lyra, this is Maya Foster, our security chief." "Maya, this is Lyra. She's a refugee." Maya's expression suggested she knew there was more to the story, but she simply nodded. "Welcome aboard the Stellar Wind, Lyra. Let's get you to medical first, then we can sort out the rest." As they moved through the ship's corridors, crew members stopped to stare at the unusual sight of a felicit aboard. Noah ignored them, focusing instead on the immediate tasks ahead, getting Lyra medical attention, convincing Captain Reeves not to throw them both off the ship, and figuring out their next move. Captain Elliot Reeves was waiting in his quarters, his weathered face set in a thunderous expression. A veteran of both the Confederation Navy and the merchant fleet, Reeves ran his ship with military precision. He was fair but unyielding when it came to regulations. "Ellis," he greeted coldly as Noah entered. "You've got precisely 1 chance to explain why my ship is about to commit multiple violations of station protocol, potentially endangering our Confederation's standing and certainly jeopardizing our contract." Noah stood at attention, falling back on the formality Reeves preferred. "Sir, I witnessed a sentient being sold into slavery in violation of Confederation ethical protocols. I intervened according to Merchant Code Article 17, regarding the duty to prevent violations of sentient rights when possible." Reeves' eyes narrowed. "You purchased a slave?" "I purchased her freedom," Noah corrected. "The transaction was legal under local laws, but now the seller is attempting to renege, claiming a clerical error. And this has nothing to do with the fact that she's a young female felicit?" Reeves asked skeptically. Noah met his gaze steadily. "It has everything to do with the fact that she's a person who was being treated as property, sir." Reeves studied him for a long moment before sighing heavily. "You realize that by helping her escape, you've likely violated local laws, regardless of the ethics involved." "Yes, sir. And you understand that as captain, I'm responsible for every soul aboard this vessel, and any consequences that come from harboring a fugitive, which is what she now is, regardless of the morality involved. I understand, sir, Noah replied. I'm prepared to accept full responsibility. If necessary, I'll resign my position once we reach Confederation space. Reeves leaned back in his chair, his expression unreadable. That won't be necessary, Ellis. Not yet, anyway. He tapped a command into his desk console. Bridge, this is the captain. Execute departure sequence. Acknowledge. Acknowledged, Captain, came the response. Departure sequence initiated. Noah felt the subtle vibration through the deck plates as the Stellar Wind's engines powered up. Thank you, sir. Reeves fixed him with a stern look. Don't thank me yet, Navigator. We're not clear of this mess by a long shot. Report to the bridge immediately. I need my best navigator if we're going to execute an unscheduled departure without station assistance. Yes, sir. Noah turned to leave. And Ellis, Reeves called after him. Once we're safely away, I want a full briefing on exactly what we're dealing with. No omissions. Understood, Captain. Noah hurried to the bridge, his mind already calculating the complex navigational equations needed for their departure. The Stellar Wind was about to flee from Praxis 4 without proper clearance, potentially making them targets for station security or even Drakari enforcement vessels. As he took his position at the navigation console, Noah couldn't help but wonder if he'd just exchanged one set of problems for another, potentially more dangerous situation. But when he thought of Lyra's face on the auction block and the laughter of the guards as she cried, he knew he'd make the same choice again. The Stellar Wind disengaged from its docking clamps with a metallic groan, thrusters firing in precise sequence as they pulled away from the station. On the main view screen, Noah could see Praxis 4 growing smaller as they increased distance. Station control is demanding we return to dock, the communications officer reported tensely. They're threatening to dispatch security vessels. Captain Reeves stood calmly at the center of the bridge. Maintain course. Navigator Ellis, prepare jump coordinates to the Confederation outpost at Epsilon Eridani. Calculating now, sir, Noah responded, his fingers flying over the navigation array. Epsilon Eridani was a small Confederation military outpost, not their scheduled destination, but a safe harbor under Confederation jurisdiction. Captain, the sensor officer interrupted urgently. 2 vessels departing Praxis 4. Configurations match Drakari enforcement cruisers. They're on an intercept course. Reeves' expression hardened. Time to jump capability? 3 minutes, Captain, Noah replied, working furiously to complete the calculations. A hasty jump could send them off course, or worse. The Drakari vessels are hailing us, communications reported. They're ordering us to power down and prepare for boarding. They claim we're harboring stolen property. No response, Reeves ordered. Weapon status? Defensive systems online, Captain, Maya reported from the security station. But we're a merchant vessel. We can't outgun Drakari cruisers. Noah's console beeped as the jump calculations finalized. Jump coordinates locked, Captain. Ready on your mark. The Drakari are charging weapons, the sensor officer warned. Reeves didn't hesitate. Execute jump. Noah activated the sequence. The view screen flared with blue-white energy as the Stellar Wind's jump drive engaged, tearing a hole in conventional space. For a moment, the ship seemed to stretch impossibly, and then they were gone, leaving Praxis 4 and the pursuing Drakari far behind. As the jump effect faded and the bridge systems returned to normal, Noah released a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. They had escaped, for now. But he knew this was just the beginning. High Lord Craxus and the Drakari Slaver Guild wouldn't abandon their pursuit easily, especially if Lyra was as valuable as Vexar had implied. Whatever came next, Noah had irrevocably altered his future, and Lyra's. He only hoped he'd be able to keep her safe from those who would reclaim her as property, no matter the cost. Jump successful, Captain, Noah reported. Estimated arrival at Epsilon Eridani in 6 hours. Reeves nodded grimly. Well done, Navigator. Now, I believe you owe me that explanation. My quarters, 1 hour. And bring your felicit friend. I want to hear her side of this story too. Yes, sir, Noah acknowledged, wondering exactly what Lyra's story was, and why High Lord Craxus was so determined to get her back. Whatever the reason, he was now committed to her cause. He had given up his savings, possibly his career, and certainly his peace of mind. But as he remembered the desperate hope in Lyra's amber eyes when he had first intervened, Noah knew one thing with absolute certainty. He would do it all again in a heartbeat. Noah found Lyra in the medical bay, where Dr. Whitaker was completing her examination. The felicid looked better already. Her fur had been cleaned, her torn ear treated with regenerative gel, and a nutrient 4 was replenishing her system. How is she, Doc? Noah asked. Dr. Whitaker, a stern woman with silver-streaked hair, frowned at her diagnostic tablet. Malnourished, dehydrated, and showing signs of physical abuse. But felicids are resilient. She'll recover physically. She lowered her voice. Mentally may be another matter. How long was she enslaved? I don't know, Noah admitted. We haven't had much chance to talk. Lyra's ears twitched. I can't hear you, she said softly. And I'm right here. Dr. Whitaker had the grace to look embarrassed. My apologies. Professional habit. Lyra sat up, disconnecting the 4 with practiced movements. I was captured 8 standard months ago. This wasn't my first time in a slave market. Her amber eyes met Noah's. But it was the first time anyone intervened. Noah pulled up a chair beside her bed. The captain wants to speak with us. He needs to understand what we're dealing with, especially why this High Lord Craxus wants you back so badly. Lyra's tail curled around her body protectively. I don't know if I can trust your captain. Elliot Reeves is many things, Noah said, but he follows Confederation ethics. He risked his ship and crew to get us away from Praxis 4. He deserves the truth. After a moment's hesitation, Lyra nodded. Very well. When they arrived at the captain's quarters, Reeves was reviewing data on his console. He gestured for them to sit. Miss Lyra, he began formally, welcome aboard the Stellar Wind. While the circumstances of your arrival are unorthodox, you have my word that you'll be treated as a guest, not cargo. Thank you, Captain, Lyra replied with equal formality. I apologize for the trouble my presence has caused. Reeves waved away her apology. Navigator Ellis made his choice. Now we all live with the consequences. He leaned forward. Speaking of which, I need to know exactly what those consequences might be. Why is High Lord Craxus so interested in you? Lyra's ears flattened. I was his property once before. I escaped. That can't be the whole story, Reeves pressed. The Drakari don't typically send cruisers after runaway slaves. Lyra's claws extended unconsciously, digging into the chair's armrests. I was more than just a slave to Craxus. I was his project. She took a deep breath. Was a geneticist on my homeworld, Felicia Prime. My specialty was adaptive genetic manipulation. Noah blinked in surprise. You're a scientist? One of our leading researchers, Lyra confirmed. Felicids have always had a natural aptitude for biological sciences. Our race's genetic flexibility inspired my work. What kind of work? Reeves asked. I was developing methods to help species adapt to extreme environments without terraforming. Ethical genetic modification to allow colonization of worlds that would otherwise be uninhabitable. A shadow crossed her face. Craxus learned of my research and saw other applications. Weapons, Reeves guessed grimly. Lyra nodded. Biological weapons tailored to target specific species. He wanted me to develop a pathogen that could kill humans while leaving other species unaffected. Noah felt a chill run down his spine. Why humans specifically? The Drakari Imperium has long viewed the Confederation as its primary rival, Lyra explained. Humans make up over 60% of Confederation citizens. A human-specific bioweapon would devastate Confederation worlds while leaving infrastructure intact for Drakari occupation. And you refuse to develop this weapon, Noah said. Lyra's eyes flashed with pride. I sabotaged the research where I could, introduced deliberate errors into the data. When Craxus realized what I was doing, he had me publicly reclassified as a slave and put to work in his private laboratories under constant guard. How did you escape? Reeves asked. During transport between facilities, I managed to short-circuit my restraints and flee into a crowded spaceport. I stowed away on a cargo hauler, but was discovered when they reached Praxis 4. Her voice grew quieter. The captain sold me to the Xenorium auction house. Reeves processed this information, his expression grave. So we're not just harboring an escaped slave, but a scientist who possesses knowledge that could create a weapon of mass destruction targeted at humans. Knowledge I would rather die than use, Lyra said fiercely. Noah looked at her with newfound respect. She had resisted creating a weapon that could have killed billions of his species, despite the personal cost. I believe you, he said, and I think the Confederation will too. This information changes everything. It's not just about your freedom anymore. It's about preventing a potential genocide. Reeves tapped his fingers thoughtfully on his desk. We're 6 hours from Epsilon Eridani. Once there, I'll contact Confederation intelligence. They'll want to debrief you thoroughly, Miss Lyra. I'll cooperate fully, she promised. In the meantime, Reeves continued, you'll remain under the protection of this vessel and crew. Navigator Ellis, since this situation is largely your doing, you'll be responsible for her safety. Yes, sir, Noah agreed readily. As they left the captain's quarters, Noah showed Lyra to the small cabin that had been prepared for her. It's not much, but it's private. Lyra entered the space, running her hand along the simple furnishings. It's the first room I've had to myself in 8 months. Her voice cracked slightly. Thank you, Noah. Not just for buying my freedom, but for believing me. I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit, Noah replied. You risked everything to protect my species. If anyone should be thanking anyone. Lyra's ears perked up, a slight smile forming on her feline features. Perhaps we can agree to be mutually grateful. Noah smiled back. Get some rest. I'll be on the bridge for the next few hours, but my quarters are just 2 doors down if you need anything. As Noah turned to leave, Lyra caught his arm. There's something else you should know. Something I didn't tell the captain. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Craxus doesn't just want me back because of what I know. He wants me because of what I took. Noah looked at her questioningly. I stole data, Lyra explained. Critical research files that would set his weapons program back by years. I hid them before I was captured at Praxis 4. Where? Noah asked. In a secure data cache at the Xenorium Bazaar. I paid a data broker to hold it, but I couldn't retrieve it before being captured. Her eyes locked with his. If we could recover that data and bring it to the Confederation, Noah understood immediately. It would be proof of the Drakari bioweapons program. Evidence that could potentially prevent a war. He ran a hand through his hair. But we've just escaped from Praxis 4. Going back would be suicide. I know, Lyra said softly. I shouldn't have mentioned it. You've already risked too much for me. Before Noah could respond, the ship's alert system activated. All hands to action stations, Captain Reeves' voice announced. Unidentified vessel on intercept course. Noah rushed to the bridge, his conversation with Lyra temporarily forgotten. He slid into his station as the main view screen displayed a sleek, predatory-looking ship closing on their position. Configuration matches a Drakari Hunter-class vessel, Maya reported from Tactical. Heavily armed, built for speed and pursuit. How did they find us so quickly? Reeves demanded. The communications officer looked up from her console. Captain, they're hailing us. It's directed specifically to Navigator Ellis. Reeves glanced at Noah. Put it through. The view screen shifted to show the refined, scaled face of Vexen the Drakari overseer from the auction house. Navigator Ellis, he greeted smoothly. How resourceful you've proven to be. How did you find us? Noah asked. Vexen lipless mouth curved into a smile. The control key for the Felicid's restraints. Did you think such valuable merchandise wouldn't be tracked? You've led us directly to your vessel. Noah cursed inwardly. The control key was still in his pocket. He'd never thought to dispose of it. What do you want, Vexen? Captain Reeves interrupted. Merely the return of High Lord Craxus's property, Vexenara replied. Both the Felicid and the data she stole. In exchange, we'll allow your vessel to continue unmolested. Noah exchanged glances with Reeves. So Lyra had been telling the truth about the stolen data. The Felicid is under the protection of this vessel, Reeves stated firmly. We're bound for Confederation space, where this matter can be addressed through proper diplomatic channels. Vexenar's inner eyelids slid halfway closed. You misunderstand, Captain. This is not a negotiation. He gestured to someone off-screen. Perhaps a demonstration is in order. The view screen split to show the Drakari vessel's weapons powering up. A beam of energy lanced out, striking the Stellar Wind's port side. The merchant ship shuddered violently. Shield capacity at 60%, Maya reported tensely. That was just a warning shot, but they've got more where that came from. They're faster and better armed than we are, Reeves stated grimly. We can't outrun them, and we can't outfight them. Noah's mind raced. What about the Kelmar Nebula? It's only a slight detour from our course. Reeves understood immediately. The radiation would mask our signature, and the gas clouds would provide cover. But navigation would be nearly impossible without precise charts. I've run that route 3 times, Noah said confidently. I know the safe passages. Reeves considered for only a moment before nodding. Do it. Helm, follow Navigator Ellis's course. Maximum speed. Noah's fingers flew across his console, plotting a complex series of maneuvers that would take them into the heart of the Kelmar Nebula. The Stellar Wind changed course abruptly, its engines straining as they pushed to full power. The Drakari vessel is pursuing, Maya announced. They're charging weapons again. Another energy beam struck the Stellar Wind, this time with more force. The lights flickered as power systems compensated. Shields at 40%, Maya reported. One more hit like that, and we're in trouble. The edge of the nebula appeared on the view screen, a swirling mass of purple-tinged gases and glittering stellar dust. The stellar wind plunged into this chaotic environment, sensors immediately struggling to penetrate the interference. I've lost the Drakari ship on sensors, Maya said. They're still there, Noah replied grimly, his eyes fixed on his navigational displays. But they'll have to slow down or risk collision with the nebula debris. Noah guided the ship deeper into the nebula, relying on his memory and experience rather than the compromised sensor readings. The stellar wind shuddered as particles of stellar dust impacted against the shields. Radiation levels rising, the science officer warned. Shields holding, but this environment isn't healthy for long-term exposure. The door to the bridge slid open, and Lyra entered. I heard what's happening, she said urgently. This is my fault. Not the time, Reeves snapped, but Noah waved her over. The tracking device is in the control key, he told her, pulling it from his pocket. Can you disable it? Lyra examined the device. Not disable, but I can modify it to broadcast false coordinates. Her claws extended to find points as she carefully prized open the casing. I need tools. The engineering officer handed her a small kit. Working with remarkable precision, Lyra manipulated the tiny components inside the control key. Got it, she announced after several tense minutes. It's now broadcasting a location 50 light-years from here. But they'll realize the deception eventually. By which time we'll be at Epsilon Eridani, Reeves said. Good work. A sudden impact rocked the ship violently, throwing Lyra against Noah's console. Direct hit to our starboard engine. Engineering reported. We've lost 30% thrust capacity. They've found us, Maya confirmed grimly. The Drakari ship is closing fast. Noah helped Lyra to her feet. We need another option. Lyra's eyes widened suddenly. The data I stole, it could be our leverage. What do you mean? Reeves asked sharply. If I contact the data broker on Praxis 4, I could arrange for the data to be released to Confederation intelligence if anything happens to us, Lyra explained. Praxis would do anything to prevent that information from reaching the Confederation. Reeves considered this. It's a bluff. We don't actually have access to the data. Vexenar doesn't know that, Noah pointed out. and if Lyra can convince the data broker to cooperate. It's worth trying, Reeves conceded. Communications, patch into the nearest relay. Let's see if we can reach Praxis 4 from here. As the communications officer worked to establish a connection, another hit rocked the ship. Warning lights flashed across multiple consoles. Shields failing, Maya reported. Hull breach on Deck 3. Emergency containment activated. The communications officer looked up. I've got a weak connection to Praxis 4, but it won't last long with all this interference. Lyra stepped forward. Put me through to data broker Zealand Tavik in the lower quadrant of the Xenorium Bazaar. Authentication code Lyra 79 Epsilon. After several tense moments, a gruff voice responded through heavy static. Tavik here. This better be important. Zealand, it's Lyra. I need to activate contingency protocol on my stored data. Lyra? Thought you were auction meat by now. Tavik replied bluntly. Contingency protocol requires additional payment. The payment will come from Confederation intelligence when they receive the data, Lyra promised. But only if I don't contact you within 24 hours with the abort code. There was a pause. High-risk clients suddenly got higher risk. Fee just doubled. Agreed, Lyra said without hesitation. But I need confirmation now. Contingency protocol activated, Tavik finally responded. 24-hour countdown initiated. Better hope you survive to cancel it, Catgirl. Drakari don't take kindly to data theft. The connection cut out as another blast hit the stellar wind. They're attempting to disable our engines, not destroy us, Maya observed. They want us alive. Well, that's something, Reeves muttered. Navigator, options? Noah studied his displays. There's a particularly dense region of the nebula about 3 minutes ahead at our current speed. The radiation and particle density will make pursuit even more difficult, but what? Reeves prompted. But it's also dangerous for us, Noah admitted. The stellar dust could clog our intake manifolds, and the radiation levels are at the upper limit of our shielding capacity. Reeves didn't hesitate. Do it. Better to risk the nebula than face certain capture. Noah altered their course, sending the stellar wind plunging deeper into the Kelmar Nebula. The view screen showed swirling purple gases giving way to a denser cloud shot through with electrical discharges. Energy discharges detected, the science officer warned. If one hits us directly. He didn't need to finish the thought. Everyone on the bridge knew that a direct hit from one of the nebula's natural energy discharges could overload their already compromised systems. The stellar wind shuddered continuously now as particles bombarded the hull. Warning indicators flashed across Noah's console as navigational sensors failed one by one. Flying blind in 10 seconds, he announced, his voice steady despite the pressure. Switching to manual control. This was what navigators trained for, the ability to guide a vessel when all technology failed. Noah closed his eyes briefly, visualizing the path ahead based on the last sensor readings and his knowledge of the nebula's structure. Engineering, prepare for full reverse thrust on my mark, he ordered. We're going to use a stopping maneuver to lose them. The ship continued forward, penetrating deeper into the nebula's heart. The Drakari vessel followed at a cautious distance, visible only as an occasional silhouette against the nebula's glow when energy discharges illuminated the gases. Mark, Noah called. The stellar wind's engines reversed with a shuddering roar. The ship decelerated violently, inertial compensators struggling to keep the crew from being thrown forward. Noah watched with satisfaction as the Drakari vessel shot past them, momentarily visible through the purple haze. Cut engines. Minimal power only, Noah instructed. The ship went dark, running on emergency power alone. On the bridge, red emergency lighting cast eerie shadows across worried faces. Now we wait, Reeves said softly. If they can't detect us, they'll have to search blindly. Minutes stretched into an hour as the stellar wind drifted silently in the nebula. Occasionally, they caught glimpses of the Drakari ship in the distance, searching in an expanding pattern. They're moving away, Maya finally reported, her voice barely above a whisper. I think we've lost them. A collective sigh of relief passed through the bridge crew, but no one knew they weren't safe yet. The nebula itself presented numerous dangers, and their ship was damaged. "Captain," he said, "if we proceed at minimal power, we can exit the nebula at coordinates that will put us within range of the Epsilon Eridani outpost patrol vessels." Reeves nodded. "Make it happen, navigator." As quietly as possible. For the next several hours, Noah guided the stellar wind through the nebula at a crawl, avoiding the worst of the energy discharges and radiation pockets. The ship's damaged systems protested continuously, but held together through the combined efforts of the engineering team. When they finally emerged from the Kelmar Nebula, the starfield ahead was clear of pursuit vessels. No sign of the Drakari ship, Maya confirmed, relief evident in her voice. "Set course for Epsilon Eridani, maximum sustainable speed," Reeves ordered. "And give me a channel to Confederation Command. Priority 1. As the crew carried out their orders, Noah turned to find Lyra standing beside his station. She had remained quietly on the bridge throughout their escape, offering assistance where she could. "You did it," she said softly. Noah shook his head. "We did it. Your quick thinking with the tracker and the data broker gave us the edge we needed." "What happens now?" she asked. "Now we reach Confederation space," Noah replied. "You'll be granted asylum, and your evidence about Kraxus's bioweapon program will be taken very seriously." "And what about you?" Lyra's amber eyes studied him intently. "You gave up everything to help me. Your savings, nearly your career." Noah smiled. "I'm a navigator. I find paths forward when none seem to exist." He reached out hesitantly, then gently took her hand. "We'll figure it out." 2 days later, the stellar wind docked at the Epsilon Eridani outpost. Confederation intelligence officers came aboard immediately, escorting Lyra to a secure debriefing facility. Noah watched her go, a hollow feeling in his chest despite knowing it was necessary. "She'll be safe now," Captain Reeves said, coming to stand beside him in the observation lounge. "Confederation intelligence takes threats like this very seriously." "I know," Noah acknowledged. "I just hope she doesn't disappear into some classified program, never to be seen again." Reeves handed him a datapad. "Orders from Confederation Command. We're to proceed to Earth immediately for debriefing once repairs are complete." Noah scanned the document, then looked up in surprise. "These orders include me specifically. You're the primary witness," Reeves pointed out. "And apparently someone at command is very interested in your initiative and resourcefulness," as they put it. Noah returned his gaze to the viewport, watching as Lyra was escorted into the station. "I'd do it again," he said quietly, "even knowing the cost." "I know you would," Reeves replied. "That's what makes you human." 3 weeks later, Noah stood in the gardens of Confederation headquarters in Geneva, Earth. His debriefing had been exhaustive but surprisingly positive. Rather than being reprimanded for his actions, he had been commended for preventing a potential bioweapon from being developed. A familiar voice called his name. He turned to see Lyra approaching, wearing the simple uniform of a Confederation scientific consultant. Her fur gleamed in the sunlight, and her previously torn ear had fully healed. "They told me I'd find you here," she said, smiling. "Apparently humans like to process outdoors." Noah laughed. "Some of us do. How are you? They've been keeping you pretty isolated." "For my protection," they said. "But the debriefings are finally over." Her tail swished behind her. The data broker came through. Confederation intelligence received all of Kraxus's research data, which proved beyond doubt that the Drakari were developing illegal bioweapons. "I heard there was quite the diplomatic incident," Noah remarked. Lyra nodded. "The Drakari Imperium has publicly disavowed Kraxus and his research. They're claiming he was acting independently, of course." "Of course," Noah agreed dryly. "Politicians are the same across species, it seems." They walked together through the gardens in comfortable silence for a few minutes before Lyra spoke again. "I've been offered a position at the Confederation Xenobiology Institute," she said, "to continue my original research, helping species adapt to new environments safely and ethically." "That's wonderful," Noah said sincerely. You deserve it after everything you've been through. Lyra stopped walking and turned to face him. What about you? I know you lost your savings because of me. Your dream of having your own ship. Noah shrugged. Dreams change. Besides, I've been offered a new position too. The Confederation Diplomatic Corps is looking for navigators with cross-cultural experience, as they put it. A diplomat. Lyra's whiskers twitched with amusement. You? More like a specialized transport pilot for diplomatic missions, Noah clarified. But it comes with a significant signing bonus and accelerated path to command. So you'll have your own ship after all, Lyra observed. Eventually, Noah agreed. But there's something else I wanted to tell you. He took a deep breath. The Xenobiology Institute has a research vessel, the Horizon. They're looking for an experienced navigator. Lyra's eyes widened. Are you saying? I've already applied for the position, Noah confirmed. If you wouldn't mind having me around, that is. Lyra stepped closer, her amber eyes meeting his. I think that could be arranged. She reached out and took his hand, her clawed fingers intertwining with his. After all, we make a good team. Noah smiled. That we do. As they continued their walk through the gardens, Noah reflected on the chain of events that had brought them to this moment. He had given up his savings, risked his career, and faced death to save Lyra. But looking at her now, free, respected, and full of purpose, he knew it had been worth every sacrifice. The universe was vast and often cruel, but sometimes, one human making one choice could change everything. Not just for a single life, but potentially for billions. The slavers had laughed as the alien cat girl cried, never imagining that a human would give up his future to buy her life, or that in doing so, he would find a new and better future for them both. And that was the end of the story. If you listened all the way to here, don't forget to leave feedback about what you thought of the story in the comments, whether positive or negative. Your feedback helps us improve. Also leave your like and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this one. And I'll leave here on the screen another video that I'm sure you'll like. Big hug, and see you in the next story.